Once upon a time, vertical bar in a faraway land, there was a place called the High Veldt. It was a vast, open space under a bright sunny sky, everything painted in warm, sandy yellow. The ground, rocks, and even the tufts of grass all blended into this golden world. There were hardly any trees, so the sun poured down, making the air shimmer and the world glow. A gentle breeze would sometimes swirl the sand, but mostly it was still and quiet. Shadows were tiny, hiding under rocks while everything else basked in the same golden light. At sunset, the sky turned orange and purple, and the shadows stretched long across the sand. Even at night, the High Veldt felt simple and peaceful, a world where everything matched the sandy earth. On this sunny High Veldt lived animals who matched their world perfectly. The giraffe, zebra, eland, kudu, and hartebeest were all sandy yellowish-brown, blending in so well you could barely spot them. Their coats were plain, no spots, no stripes, just the color of the land. Even the ostrich and meerkat looked like part of the scenery. When they gathered, they seemed like bumps in the landscape, safe and hidden. They loved their plainness, feeling snug and invisible in their matching world. For them, being sandy yellowish-brown was the best way to belong. But two others lived on the High Veldt, the leopard and the Ethiopian. Both were sandy yellowish-brown, blending in just as well as the other animals. This made them excellent hunters. They could sneak up without being seen. The leopard crouched behind rocks, the Ethiopian hid in the grass, and together they moved like shadows. Their camouflage let them get close to their prey, always surprising the other animals. The leopard and Ethiopian were the best hunters, not just for their strength but for how perfectly they fit into their world. They were the secret, silent ghosts of the High Veldt. After many close calls, the animals decided they'd had enough of being hunted. They gathered and agreed. It was time to leave the High Veldt. They'd heard of a forest nearby, full of trees and cool shadows, a place nothing like their sunny home. One night, they slipped away, traveling until the sand gave way to soft, leafy ground. The air changed, smelling of earth and green things. At last, they reached the edge of the great forest, tall and dark, full of mystery. It was strange and a little scary, but they were hopeful. One by one, they stepped into the cool, shadowy world of the trees. They had escaped the hunters and were ready for a new life. The adventure of the forest had begun. The forest was a world of shifting light and deep shadows, nothing like the High Veldt. Sunlight trickled through leaves, making patches of brightness and darkness everywhere. The animals' plain coats, perfect for the veldt, now made them stand out. The giraffe's yellow neck and the zebra's brown coat were easy to spot among the trees. The forest was alive with new sounds and smells, rustling leaves, dripping water, and the scent of moss and flowers. The animals had to learn to move differently, stepping over roots and under branches. They realized they couldn't stay the same if they wanted to be safe here. In this patchwork world, they would need to change. Soon, the animals began to change, almost without noticing. The giraffe grew big, brown blotches, blending with the dappled light. The zebra sprouted black stripes, vanishing among the bamboo shadows. Eland developed wiggly lines and delicate markings, bushbuck matching the tangled vines. Each animal took on the patterns of their favorite hiding places. No longer plain, they became creatures of the forest, decorated by shadows. They felt safer and happier, proud of their new looks. Now they could hide as well as they once did on the veldt. They had become the patterned people of the forest. Back on the High Veldt, the leopard and Ethiopian grew hungry. There was no one left to hunt. The veldt was empty, their prey vanished. They searched everywhere, puzzled and lonely. With rumbling stomachs, they followed faint tracks toward the forest. At the forest's edge, they peered into the darkness, their eyes struggling to adjust. "They must be in here," whispered the leopard. They stepped into the shadows, but their sandy coats made them stand out. In the forest, they were as obvious as lanterns in the night. Hunting here was going to be much harder. The hunters had become the hunted. The leopard and Ethiopian tried to hunt, but their plain coats gave them away every time. Frustrated, they sat on a log, until a wise baboon called down from a tree. "Having trouble?" he asked, grinning. The baboon explained, "The animals have changed to fit the forest. You still look like you belong on the veldt. If you want to survive here, you must change too. The world doesn't stay the same forever." The leopard and Ethiopian looked at each other, realizing the baboon was right. "How do we change?" they asked. "Find a way to fit into the stripes, blotches, and shadows," said the baboon before scampering away. The hunters had a new challenge: to become part of the forest. The Ethiopian thought hard about the baboon's advice. His sandy skin was too bright for the forest's shadows. He wanted a new color, something deep and dark, like the forest itself. Inspired by the black soil and tree bark, he decided to change. He splashed himself with dark water, and slowly, his skin turned a rich, shadowy black. Now, he could vanish into the deepest shade, perfectly hidden. The leopard was amazed. His friend had become invisible in the gloom. The Ethiopian had found the perfect way to belong. Now it was the leopard's turn. He didn't want to be all one color, but he needed something to break up his plain coat. The Ethiopian, with his dark fingers, had an idea. "Let me give you spots, little marks like the shadows on the forest floor." He pressed his fingers in bunches of 5 all over the leopard's yellow coat, making beautiful black spots. When finished, the leopard looked magnificent, sunshine and shadow together. He stood in the dappled light and disappeared, blending perfectly with the forest. The leopard was thrilled with his new look. "Thank you, Ethiopian," he purred. "Now I can hide too." The forest had given him the perfect disguise. And so the leopard got his spots and the Ethiopian his dark skin. They became brilliant hunters again, blending into the forest's shadows and light. The giraffe, zebra, and all the others had their own special patterns too. The forest was now full of blotchy, stripy, and spotty creatures, each perfectly suited to their home. Everyone was happier, each animal proud of its unique look. They had all changed to fit their world, finding their perfect place. Remember, sometimes change is the best way to belong. Sleep tight and dream of sunny spots and shady stripes.